Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Seems like everything is going alright. So I think I kind of did a new setup regarding the Duolingo stuff. So last time we were doing Duolingo, we were doing the app version, which was so inundated with ads that it was a bit distracting when we were actually trying to do lessons and stuff. So now we're actually doing, what do you call this? The browser version, and haven't had any issues so far. But yeah, anyway. Hey everyone, NPC scientists are good to me here, and we are today doing more Duolingo. There we go. So last time on Duolingo, we actually got all the way up to this checkpoint thing from last time. And throughout the week, I've been doing the lessons slowly. I actually tried this, seeing what happens if I max out a lesson up to like level 5. I think level 5 is like the highest of it. And I tried to max it out to see what would happen. It didn't really get that much more difficult, so I don't think I'm gonna do that for today. Like I'm not going to like max out one of these things, so I'm not going to do that. What I will do though is we're gonna go through these other lessons that I've cleared, the greetings, katakana, and then hopefully got down to intro number 2, and we'll see where we go from there. Let me check chat really quick. American Bison, welcome to the stream. What's up, bro? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, today we're doing some more Japanese lessons. I'll probably be roasting the owl as I find something weird along the way. We were supposed to kind of do a what do you call this? A hiragana and katakana learning thing today, but for some reason I don't think it is present in the web version, and the desktop version, so we may have to skip that for now. But there are some katakana lessons along the way. I'm not sure if we ever cover hiragana. Is hiragana even covered? No, it doesn't look like hiragana is even covered. If it is, it's probably in basics. But I've been going through the lessons throughout the week so far, and they've actually been getting a little bit tougher. I'm surprised. Like, it's not so much tougher that they are being picky about how you structure the sentences and stuff, but it's getting tougher as in like they give you less audio cues, and it also forces you to actually read what you're writing down. I also turned off the audio, like some of the audio stuff. Like if you click something, it doesn't like speak out what it is. I've done that to help train better. I'm not sure if the settings translate into the web version, but I'm hoping it does. Jeez. Next time, I am not gonna eat a meat bun right before a stream. Apparently it screws up my my throat for some reason. I'm not sure why. But anyway, how's it going, guys? Hopefully you have had a nice Wednesday so far. Middle of the week already. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But yeah. Anyway, let's get started here. So let me try my greeting again in Japanese, just so that get a little bit practice first. Konnichiwa, minasan. Haruka Etsumi desu. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. Anyway, let's go start with with greetings really quick. So let's do that. Okay, so I guess we need to do this lesson 3 times to level up. There's really no point to. Sensei. So right now we're actually kind of forced to try to read in Japanese, but process of elimination says this is sensei. Sensei. So sensei is teacher. Oh, so it does a little bit differently down here. And then we have sensei again up here in all hiragana. And this is where the character review comes in. Now, we have this kanji over here. Who can read kanji? If you can in chat, congratulations to you. I cannot. Instead, though, if you wanted to do this by like process of elimination, you would have to know your katakana. So this is ko. This second one over here, that is ko, which is like a backwards C. So just think of it like as a backwards C as ko, K-O. And this is e, which is the E for in Japanese, but it looks like an I. So it's like you're expecting an I, but it's actually E. And then we have the katakana in A here. It's just pretty much memorization, but it kind of looks like a sideways A. It kind of looks like a sideways A. Let me see if we can get that though. Probably don't make it visible just yet, but let me just, because we really, when you're doing these kinds of things as you learn, you got to figure out the best way to like memorize this stuff for you. Now, some of the things I've done before is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's definitely not intuitive. Far from intuitive, but it helps. But this is the A we're talking about right now. And just unless you were actually unless you were like used to seeing these characters, it doesn't make any sense just looking at it, because coming from a Roman alphabet system going into something completely different like Japanese, it just does not make sense. It seems like it's all plain what do you call this, memorization. But if you kind of take it one way, this is in katakana, but if you just turn it around, it kind of almost looks like an A at this point. Now, how does this make sense? It doesn't. To me, it does not, but this is probably like one of the easier ways for me to remember what this is. Hey, teacher Amy, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Happy birthday again, by the way. Hope your day has been going well so far. Did you do anything for your celebration today? But yeah, this is how I kind of remember it. So we have the ko, which is pretty much looks like a backward C. If you know, if it looks like at least in katakana, it looks like a backward C, and you just kind of have to remember ko. Just add an O to it. It also looks like an O, a blocky O, if you close it off. At least that's how I remember it. But this is the I. It's not what you would expect. It's like it just throws you off for a loop. I mean, a lot of this is memorization, but the way to memorize it is kind of there. And then we kind of went over just now. So knowing that, and they're asking you what the correct characters for sensei is, this is sensei in kanji, but I can't tell you how to memorize this in kanji out of context. It's like, I don't know. We can do process of elimination, but as far as the way to remember kanji, that just kind of, it's all memorization. If you know Chinese and can read Chinese, this would be so much easier for you. There's really no explaining it unless you were that in depth as far as how these characters are created. So sensei. Also, if you need to check, it does tell you that way also, but you have to be able to read this to get this. Let me see. Let me catch up on chat really quick. Nice time playing new toys. No real celebration yet? Okay, but special dinner tonight. Nice. Also received flower delivery from family. Very nice. I myself am doing okay. I've been kind of lazy today. I was trying to get a drawing done for the Mahjong stream on Friday. There will be a Mahjong stream on Friday. But For some reason, I keep putting it off. I do one thing after another and just keep putting the drawing part off. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I can draw other things, but for some reason, for the thumbnail drawing, I just have not. I might try to do that tomorrow, though. Best way to remember kanji is to learn a lot of words they appear in, so you can kind of make the connections. Sensei gakusei. Ah, the second character over here is the sei. But what does sei actually mean? I guess that's something you would just have to know in context. Duolingo, waste of time. You know what? You're not wrong. It's probably not the best way to learn, but according to one of my friends, use whatever you can to learn something. It's not going to be the best way to learn. Really, if you ask me, the best way to learn any language is to toss yourself out into whatever environment's going to give you the best opportunities to learn a language. Say, if you want to learn Japanese, find some Japanese friends, either online or in person, and start conversations with them. That's the best way to learn, at least verbally. Now, you might not be able to read, but at least verbally you can get that exposure. Other way is to probably like toss yourself out into Japan if that was the actual, what do you call this? If you could actually were able to do that, toss yourself out in Japan for 3 months and force yourself to learn the language. That's probably another way to do it. Be a jet teacher. That's also another way. They don't require you to have any Japanese learned, so that would be good. But saying Duolingo is a waste of time is saying if you can't learn any other way, don't even bother with Duolingo because Duolingo is terrible. I say still go with Duolingo because you gotta get your basics somewhere. And if this is the tools, if this is what you have for tools, go ahead and use it. Now, it might not be the best thing in the world, but it's better than nothing. And if you can find something better, go for that. But yeah. Yes, Mahjong. Hey, Mahtalk, welcome to the stream. Mahjong will be on Friday. Hopefully it'll be pretty chill. Friday, Mahtalk, says living. Before living. Let's see, I'm catching up on chat right now, so forgive me. Always the reader of my friends. ATM. Never good with tossing stuff in Japan. Spanish when I was younger, didn't speak it for years and lost it. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I know the main dialect in the Philippine language, Tagalog, but I haven't used it in a very, very long time. So speaking it, I am very, very rusty. I'm very, very rusty. It would take me a little while to get back into gear in that one. But as far as what do you call this? As far as understanding it, that is not very difficult for me. Speaking, on the other hand, is just because I haven't used it in a while. So I lived there 5 years. Still wasn't good at getting out and talking. Well, I suppose there's also that level of comfort with trying to reach out to people and people reaching out to you. So yeah, I completely understand that. But I'm just saying though, you have to force yourself to be in a situation to be able to learn it. Whether it's tossing yourself out into a place where people speak that language commonly, either outside the country or inside the country, depending on where you are, or using something as quote unquote not really great tool for learning, Duolingo in this case. So I mean, let's just make this clear. I don't mind Duolingo. It's not a bad way to start learning, but I do know it's not perfect, right? It's not perfect. So it's like the way they structure the lesson is probably not also the best way to learn things. It's just how else are you going to learn it if you're not going to use something, if you're not going to use this, right? How else are you going to learn something? Let me go. Also, outside of that, anime. What if we're talking Japanese anime, Japanese TV dramas, or Japanese news? There should also be some Japanese podcasts you can try learning from verbally. There might be some dual language stuff also. So I don't see an issue doing it that way. Let me catch up. Chat is actually moving like lightning today. What the heck? But I was actually good at kanji. Just study hard. You don't seem like an introvert. Working in Japan, good. You have to speak a word, yes. Okay. Konnichiwa. Hernet user. Okay. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Introvert. ちょっと待ってください. This kanji isお元気ですか? はい、元気です。あんたは元気ですか? So that's okay. Any study is better than no study. Yep, that's pretty much what I meant. Any study is better than no study. 10 pi is better than no pi. This is so true. You gotta get 10 pi before the round ends, otherwise you pay everyone else. Gotcha. Alright, let's continue. I got what do you call this? I got distracted there. But yeah, I mean that's my take as far as just because you heard Duolingo is terrible, but you can't use anything else, I don't think that's a fair judgment. Now here's actually where it's getting a little bit tougher. I think this part you only have you have to match the pairs exactly to get this right, and you can't just click on and click off. I don't think so anyway. So this is where the memorization comes into play. So this is ra, that, and then this is shi. So if you click on the Japanese, you can actually, what do you call this? Match it to the English. But later on, this becomes more difficult because they'll have Japanese on both sides. Ta, fi. And then here by process of elimination, we have sensei. So. Ohayo. So I don't think we got to this part in the lessons before, but ohayo gozaimasu. Good morning. Though gozaimasu is a little bit too formal sometimes, but that's probably something you would say to someone like your boss or like an elderly person. Ohayo gozaimasu. Or if you just want to be friendly, ohayo is just perfectly fine. Arigato. Arigato. And then we have Ohayo, Sensei, and Gozaimasu. But there's no reason to Gozaimasu this. Gozaimasu is like Gozaimasu is like a modifier for formality, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Gozaimasu, that's what I understand. All right. Ohayo gozaimasu. So, good morning. But the gozaimasu part is lost in translation when it gets into English. There's really no direct translation for gozaimasu in English. So it's like, hey, good morning. But in this case, I guess in English you would change your tone from saying morning, good morning, that kind of thing, or hey, teach, what's up? Maybe not that way. Sumimasen. Sumimasen. You will hear this all the time in Japan. If it has not been mentioned before, you will hear it as a tourist, definitely. Des de gozaimasu. Okay. I didn't realize there was a de in front of that gozaimasu. The conjugations in Japanese usually fairly simple, but sometimes it's a little bit weird how it's done because it's not always the same. conjugation is different depending on what comes before. I guess I suppose that makes sense. So anyway, let's review what we don't have. So this is sumimasen, excuse me. Then we have ohayo here, and then we have sensei here, and then what is this? Gozaimasu. Because for some reason they try to trip us up that way. Arigato. Okay. Thank you. I mean, if you don't know thank you in Japanese by now, probably should. It's fairly simple. Fairly simple memorization. Sensei, arigato. But in this case, you're just kind of remembering Sensei, arigato. And there's no verb usage here. At least I don't think so. Well, there's no verb in it anyway, to begin with. Got ohayo. What's this one? Gozaimasu. Gozaimasu. Wait. What? Sensei, arigato gozaimasu. Wait. Okay. Duolingo. I'm gonna call you out here, Duolingo. You don't need the gozaimasu here. Typically, when people say arigato gozaimasu, it usually kind of means super polite, and it's like thank you very well. Domo arigato is thank you very much, but you don't need the gozaimasu here. There is no indication that we need to be doing gozaimasu here. Come on, Duolingo, what the heck? Sensei, konnichiwa. You know, in this case, I wouldn't put the teacher up front. I would say hello, teacher, as a first. But Duolingo's gonna get me for that. Teachers don't get the gozaimasu, but in Japan they need it. Well, it seems so. That's how Duolingo wants me to do it. But also, as far as the sentence structure, Sensei, konnichiwa. I would probably say hello teacher and not teacher hello. That sounds even more weird in English. I don't think anyone actually uses that word order. Though in context it kind of makes sense, but I don't think you ever say konnichiwa sensei. Does anyone actually say konnichiwa sensei? I guess that's more natural, but why would you do it like that? This is one of the times I will roast the owl for sure. Good morning. Ohayo. Well, just good morning's fine. Okay, another correct solution. Also, ohayo gozaimasu. No, Bear, we will not be super polite. We don't need to be super polite every time. Yeah, konnichiwa sensei is probably what I would say. Like I said, like we've already mentioned, Duolingo is not perfect, but I guess it benefits more people that know a little bit about the language than those who are coming in fresh. Jeez. We have to make that distinction, don't we? Sumimasen. There's really no right or wrong. Well, there's no other way to do this one. Teacher, good morning. Oh, we got this one again. Why? And they want us to do the gozaimasu, so... Well, do the gozaimasu. Sensei, arigato gozaimasu. Very polite to teacher. Very polite to teacher. Sensei, ohayo gozaimasu. We're very polite to teacher, but you know what? If let's say, I guess you need that level of politeness for your teacher, but it just seems overly formal. I'm a very informal person in general. Junior high school, the greetings were strictly monitored. Oh. When they came into the door or left, ohayo gozaimasu or sayonara, and say loud enough, you go outside and try again. Okay, sayonara is formal. Okay. Well, the thing, okay, I didn't think sayonara was actually used even in formal settings. I thought sayonara was like, if you say sayonara, that's it. You don't see them anymore, or at least you don't see them for a very, very long time. That was my understanding. I wasn't aware it was actually just a normal formal goodbye. Man, that is strict. Very strict. Sensei, arigato. Okay, we have to be super polite here. Super polite. All right. Well, let's get rid of those greetings for now. We don't want to deal with those greetings. So as far as greetings concerned, we are done with that. Not dealing with that for a while. Let's go ahead and do katakana next. At least dip ourselves a little bit into katakana. Japanese public schools are strict. I bet. Is actually, teacher, is there do Japanese have private schools? Because I was under the assumption that schools in Japan, the tuition is paid for by the parents. So by that definition, there really is no by that definition, there's really no public schools, because I think that my idea of public schools are public schools are free. That's what I was thinking. Public schools are free, but private schools are paid. But I think when you get to high school, are there like public high schools? Because I thought high schools were all paid. Public schools are funded by tax money like in Canada. Same in America, yes. Very much so. I think that's pretty much the standard for public schools. But for some reason I thought high school in general was paid. High school is not mandatory, but 99.9% of people still go, so basically public most of the time. Really? I didn't realize that high school was not mandatory. I wonder why that is. Well, we have an English right now, so let's get our feet wet. So select the correct character for me. Now here you're just kind of like testing your ears. You're just kind of testing your ears in this case and memorizing what the character is. So this is Ra, not me. This part's like kind of sort of memorization. Hey, Classy Duck, welcome to the stream. Welcome back. Yeah, I don't think there'd be any advantage to leaving high school. Not completing high school. I feel like at least most jobs would require you to complete high school at the very least. Unless, of course, you were like in a traditional... unless you were like in a family that kind of like the family, like a family that wants you to carry on the business, like say a ryokan or some kind of artisan thing, then maybe you don't really need to go to high school, but go through high school anyway. Yeah. When is the Terraria stream? So Terraria was yesterday, so there's no more Terraria for the rest of the week. The next Terraria stream I still have yet to schedule, but I'm trying for next week. But we'll see. The schedule has not been finalized yet. So in this case, we're just kind of memorizing. So even though they're asking you for me directly, which is this, do try to, do try to memorize the other characters. So this ra, ka, a. So don't just go straight for the answer. Memorize the rest of it. But as far as memorizing what this is a little weird. I don't always get this character. Like whenever I see this on print, I always forget what this is. So it's like just kind of have to memorize it. Me. That's really all you can do. A little bit of memorization. Ka. Sounds weird to say high school isn't mandatory, but really 10 to 12 are basically not mandatory either. Huh. I didn't realize that. I'm just trying to think if high school is technically not mandatory. people seem to act like it is. People seem to act like it is, even though it may not be. Because typically, I think what happens is once you complete like middle school, once you complete middle school, they automatically enroll you for the next grade up. All right, American Bison, thank you for dropping by. Figure this must be in the same most countries, but it's not different schools, a little different province, so some they're just. I'm not quite sure if that's the case around here. I've never actually looked into it. Again, I don't look into the educational system. I just have assumptions as a normal citizen. That's pretty much it. So correct character for Ri. So this one, if we were trying to remember stuff, this is a ka. This is a. Ra. So if you see ramen a lot, you'll probably, if you like see like traditional signs for ramen, you'll see this character a lot, the ra for ramen. We kind of sort of already went over earlier. Ka is also another common one. Now I can't really tell you how to memorize this one. It just kind of, when I see this, I do think ka typically. But Ri is an odd one also for me to remember. When I say odd one to remember is when I see this, for some reason it clicks as Ri, because it's kind of like a backwards. If you look at Ri here in English, the R and the I is there. It's kind of like a backwards Ri in Japanese, except you don't have the backwards and upside down. Let me show you what I mean. Now, this is not how I remember it specifically, but it kind of makes sense in context, at least for me anyway. So if you look at this, so this is Ri. And then this is Ri when you flip it upside down. So it looks kind of sort of like, so this looks kind of sort of the same when you flip it. Now, you're probably not going to think of it that way, but it's one way to remember it if you were to just flip this around and try to figure out what is this exactly? What is this exactly? But anyway, that's just one way to go about it. You got to find your own ways. This is one of the ways I have thought about this. Not the way I currently think about it, because it's kind of sort of automatic, but one of the ways I have thought about this before. Let's see. Cover the state, cover the county, sometimes the city. Very important character for ramen. And ka for karaoke. Yes, karaoke, very important. The ka. Da 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 da. Okay. Wait, did I pick it already? This is Ri. There we go. But anyway, just kind of wanted to go that over. Ri. Yep, let's keep going. Ra. So we already went over what ra is. You're gonna need to remember this for ramen. If you have no love for ramen, then you have no love for the ra. Me. Just gotta chug along through these. There's no easy way to go about it. Ka. You remember what characters you need in daily life. Yes. Okay. I like more of these matching pairs ones, because this is where you actually get tested on how this works. Like as far as memorization is. So let's start with Japanese first. Actually, no, let's start with English first to make it a little bit tougher on us. You can start with Japanese first and then pick the English equivalent. That's definitely a whole lot easier. But if you want to really test yourself, start with English first, or whatever your language is first. So this is a, and then we pick a. So we do, let's do the ka, let's do the ra next. So ra, ra, and then ka, me, and then ri. the upside down ri in this case. Helps with it also helps with, I'm not sure what helps with production means, but definitely helps with learning, which is basically what we're trying to do. Okay, let's do this again. It's the same stuff, but I see America, except for we're kind of leaving ra here by itself. This is me. Ri is over here. This is ka, and then ra. Camera is camera. Camera is camera. Usually when you see katakana, it's going to be either an automatopoeia sound effect or garaigo, or well, not garaigo specifically, but it's going to be a foreign word transliterated, well, not transliterated, a foreign word transcribed into Japanese. So camera, and so you can almost pretty much be sure whenever you see something in katakana, it's not going to be like a native Japanese word. So much easier. And I don't think there's a kanji for this one. Though I hear some really old people actually refer to a camera as something else, or like there's Japanese equivalent for the English words they use daily. The US. So whenever you talk to a Japanese person, they don't really know United States. This happened to me once before. When they asked me in Japanese what country I came from, so they asked me, Doko kuni Doko kuni. Well, they didn't say Doko kuni desu ka. They said something to the effect of, what country did you come from? But I heard kuni, so that was country. But yeah, I was basically in a market in what do you call this? I was basically in a market in Hachinohe. Let me get a picture for you guys so that we can just set the stage really quick. But basically, what I went on a solo trip around I think the western part of Tohoku. So the Tohoku region is like north of Tokyo. So Kanto area, Tokyo is in the Kanto area, and Tohoku is above the Kanto area. So I was on the western seaside of Japan. And basically I was just over there trying to explore, see what I can find. My usual trips to Japan whenever I go solo is a lot of exploration, a lot of exploring the countryside, and very, very little known places. Now Hachinohe, the reason why I even went to Hachinohe to begin with, Hachinohe I think is roughly 2 to 3 hours by bullet train from Sendai, which is about an hour and a half from Tokyo. Hachinohe is basically this really I want to say small. It doesn't feel that small, but it's kind of small. It's a fishing town with really nothing much going on for it, except for apparently there is a market, a morning market that happens I think every Sunday. And I just happened to be around near a Sunday. So I decided to go to the morning market. I heard this first from a travel show on YouTube, which you may have heard him before. This is Abroad in Japan. Let me set the scene for you guys really quick. And I'll catch up on chat after I finish with the story. But this is like the area I was in. It was a rainy day when I went to the Hachinohe morning market. So yeah, this is part of the reason why I'm also doing the Duolingo series. If there's a point of conversation where I can bring up my Japan pictures, I will bring up my Japan pictures. I don't want to just be talking about the language. Talking about the language is fine, and roasting the owl is also fine. And also roasting how the owl wants you to do things is fine. But part of this also going back into my pictures and relating the stories to what that might be relevant to what we're doing. Let me just set up another picture here really quick. I really should like set these aside, but I don't know what stuff comes up as we do this, so it's a little bit difficult. But anyway, let's just leave this for now here. This is the Hachinohe morning market, and it was a rainy day when I went there. Typically when I go to Japan, which is roughly... So my first trip to Japan was 2015, I believe, and then the next time I went was 2017. I've been going every year ever since then until the pandemic hit. Actually, the year the year the pandemic hit, I wasn't even supposed to be going to Japan. Like I had an inkling that I wanted to go, but I kind of wanted to take a break anyway and go somewhere else, check somewhere else out. And then the pandemic hit, so it's like, oh, well, I didn't realize this was the reason why I wasn't going to go to Japan, and I'm not going to Japan again this year either because we still cannot. Japan has effectively closed borders to tourists for the past year now, and it's probably going to stay that way for at least another 6 months or so. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see being able to visit happening anytime soon. And even if I could, I do have a new job coming up in the next couple of weeks, so I wouldn't be able to go there anyway, because don't have the time off that I could afford to do that. But yeah, if I go to Japan next time though, it would be I would like an extra long vacation if I can. More than 3 weeks. 2 weeks, so for anyone going to visit a country, it doesn't matter where. If you're visiting another country outside where you are, I would probably say give yourself at least 2 weeks for a visit, because depending on how far it is, you may lose a day, adjust to jet lag, all that kind of stuff. And it just makes, and really give your time. Really give yourself time to explore the place you're going to. Don't just hit the popular tourist spots. It's fine to do them. It's definitely the reason why people go to any place in particular. But don't limit yourself to that. After maybe your first visit or something, the next time you go there, go somewhere else. Find somewhere else that seems interesting to you. Like, if you like hiking, Japan has a bunch of places to hike. If you like mountains, that kind of thing. Definitely a lot of places to explore. And Camp KS guy, welcome to the stream. And thanks for the lurk. Definitely thanks for the lurk. But yeah, anyway. I had to look back at Duolingo to figure out how I got off into this tangent. But anyway, I was in the Hachinohe morning market. This is like on the seaside of Japan, western seaside of Japan. Towards the Pacific Ocean. I got some more pictures here. Let me actually put it in rotation so that. Yeah, let me actually put this in rotation. That way we have things we can scroll through. I'm gonna shrink this. But yeah, Abroad in Japan, if you haven't heard of them, they cover a lot of places in Japan, mainly around the Tohoku area and smaller unknown places. If you see people's faces, I apologize for that. Didn't quite filter through these very well, but and probably should cover their faces for privacy reasons, but it's fine every so often. It should be okay for every so often. But it is a fish market for the most part. But other than the fish market, they do have food stalls, which is probably the main reason people go there, for the random food stalls. And the fish and other produce that they sell is nice. So as you can see here, there's like a news crew doing like an interview or highlight for one of the stalls. I think this was a ramen stall. I tried to get a bowl over there, could not because they ran out of soup. But while I was going through here, I got to I believe a blueberry stand. So they were selling these blueberries in like tiny little cases. And the owner of the blueberry stand, a nice old lady, noticed that I was not from around the area. Probably because of how I dressed. That's probably because of how I dressed. There were also a few foreigners, it seems like, in the area, and that wasn't just me. But anyway, they noticed me and asked where I came from, and I told them in Japanese, not in Japanese. I just told them United States, and they had a puzzled look on their face. It's like the U.S. or the U.S. I think I said the U.S. The U.S. And then they had a puzzled face, a look on their face. I didn't really clarify it, and it didn't hit me until like maybe 30 minutes or so later that I should have said America. So whenever someone in Japan asks you where you're from and you're from the U.S., you don't say the U.S. Some people may know that, but what they expect from you is America. That is what they expect from you. America to them is the US. The US literally had to be a vocab word on your textbook. Yeah, and I went through that whole tangent just to explain that. This is definitely gonna be something I highlight in a clip later. Camera. Nice. America. All right. This is at this point you're just applying what characters you learned from the first half of this lesson into here. Okay. Katakana lesson 1 done. Would certainly make for a good clip. My tangents when I get into them, definitely I feel like could be clip worthy. Except the clip would have to be edited because I go into more tangents when it's tangent. Anyway, so we have intro 1 and katakana 2, which actually got a little tough when I was doing when I was doing the app, and I intentionally left it to complete to have like one more lesson to get to level 1 for both of them, so that we could finish those here and then move on to intro 2 and an intro 2. So let's go ahead and continue with intro 1. So I guess we haven't done intros yet. And check this out. We are now in kanji and hiragana and Japanese only text. We don't have English text anymore. So gakusei. What is gakusei? That is student. But we don't have there's no English here, so gakusei, we would have to be able to read this. Let's go through our options first. And whenever we click our options, guess what? We don't hear a thing. So we need to be able to read this at this point. This is actually where it kind of got tough. So I know for sure gakusei is this first one. That is gakusei. But this second one, mura. This is I think mura is village. I do believe mura is village. And then honba. I don't know what honba is, but honba is something I probably feel like I should know, but I just don't at the moment. But they're not really going to cover these, but if do challenge yourself to reading these other ones. So Mura, and then you look up what Mura might be. We don't have a kanji for it here, so it might be a little bit difficult. And then Honba, yeah, I'm not sure what Honba is. I'm gonna have to look that up later. But the main difference here is once you click, you can't hear it. So you need to start being able to reading. Gakusei, and this is Gakusei. So you can still do process of elimination, but you need to be able to read for process of elimination. Oh, so this is Mura. So Mura, it seems like it has a kanji for forest and a kanji for, I have no idea what this other one is. But this is Gakusei, we covered that earlier in the previous one, that's student. This is Chugokujin? No. Chugokujin. I think, yeah, no, that's right. So this is Gakusei, this is student. Chugokujin, which is Chinese, and this is Mura, which we, what do you call it? Which we kind of covered in the previous one preemptively. And now you kind of understand why people use kanji, because they can get pretty lengthy, but just remembering the kanji itself, that is also half the battle. Oh my gosh, that's half the battle. And I don't really know any of them. Like maybe a few, handful that I know from RPGs, because I have played the Super Robot War series, and I kind of had to remember what attack was, what defense was, what evasion was, accuracy. Those four, really. Those are the only four I remember. And I kind of know the kanji for exit, but not much more past that. Very, very few. Mura. And then this is... So this is Gakusei, that's student. This is Gohan. No, that's not Gohan. What is this? I don't think that's Gohan. No, this is Gohan. This is actually Gohan. So, Nihon. Oh, never mind. I can't read. Nihon. This is Japanese. No, Japan. Sushin. Sushin. What's Sushin? I think that's not, well, I guess it's the same as Kuni, but not quite the same as Kuni. Mura. But yeah, this is not Gohan. I knew it wasn't Gohan, but why did I say it was Gohan? Okay, nope. I still don't remember my I still don't remember my hiragana very well. Which one of this is student? If we didn't have pictures, this would be very, very difficult. But this is Gakusei, Chugoku, and Camera. So camera down here, Chugoku, Chinese. Okay, I kind of remember what Chinese looks like as far as kanji goes. For some reason, you see this a lot. Not because of the Chinese people, but for some reason, I see this a lot. Just in general. I'm not sure why. But Gakusei, that's the kanji. This is your flashcard for association. Just keep that in mind. What? Nani? Nani? Okay, so hajimemashite. This is something you typically say to someone that you just met. Nice to meet you. Hajimemashite. I don't think it literally means this, but this is kind of the equivalent to that. So nice to meet you. Hajimemashite. What was the second part? Nakamura to imasu. My name is Nakamura. Now, I think there's another way to say this. Onamae wa. Let me type that in. So there's... I'm not quite familiar with this part, this one yet. So, to imasu. To imasu. To imasu. I think is I am called. This is what they want you to say. This is what they want you to remember. But I think you can also say o nama e What? I think this is also... I think that's also a valid what do you call this, alternative. Maybe teacher Amy can clarify that for me, but this is the one I know. Onamae. I might have the kanji wrong, but that's what I know. This one though, the toimas is definitely not something I'm used to. This is what I'm getting. This is something different, at least as far as what I'm used to. For yourself, you can say namae wa. Yeah, in this case, that's what he's saying. O namae for other people. Yeah. So namae. So I guess another way to say this is hajimemashite. Name Nakajima. Name desu or something. That's probably a bad way to say it. I can't teach Japanese. I just know what I know. O name wa nan desu ka? To hajimemashite, Amy-san. Boku wo namae Haruka desu. Haruka Tsumi desu. Name wa Nakajima desu. Yeah. The exchange that teacher Amy has displayed, that is what more I'm used to. The toimas is definitely not something I'm used to. I think this is correct though. It is. Alright. Write this in Japanese. A good teacher. Okay. E, good. A good. Sensei. Sensei. A good teacher. Gakusei. Oh. I guess, they should actually, silence this part. We may have to, change an option or something. I'm gonna have to double check that. Select the correct characters for gakusei. Gakusei. So at this point, you kind of have to remember the kanji. So se is this tree-like looking thing, this telephone-looking thing with... It's a telephone-looking thing with something on the end. I'm not quite sure what we would call this, but it's a telephone pole-looking thing. That's what I call it. So we have two options here. One of this is sensei and one of them is gakusei. So this is gakusei. Sensei. So it would require you to be able to read this and then figure out which one it is. Hey Yggdrasil, welcome to the stream and thank you for the lurk. Definitely much appreciated. Definitely much appreciated. So if you're just joining us right now in the stream, we're basically going through Duolingo right now. I'm roasting the owl a little bit for how picky it is, but also whenever I find a chance to go off on a tangent and relate it to some travel story I have, then definitely I will do that. And I have done that once already. But most of the time, I'm just kind of explaining. I'm not really new to Japanese, but I am definitely very not uneducated, but I am very what do you call this? The way I learned Japanese was from listening to other people and anime. As much as people say don't learn Japanese from anime, I have learned my Japanese from anime, and I have learned it from listening to other people, but actually reading it, I am terrible at. So I have a few things here and there that I know, but I'm not exactly that good at it. So I'm just kind of relating part of this and how I'm learning to kanji, katakana, that kind of thing, and maybe try to help how to learn this a little bit better, or at least tell you how I learned this on my own time. but definitely not an expert. No one is an expert when I do this, hopefully not. If you are, then you can definitely teach better than Duolingo, I probably. Most likely. So, gakusei, I'm not quite sure how we're going to remember gakusei here as far as the kanji is. Se, though, we got this. But this character for gaku is also on this side, though I didn't really click on here to figure out what that sounded like, and we can't do it again. So if we see that again, we'll check it to see what that does. Nakamura. Oh, okay. I guess they still have you listen. So Nakamura is this one. Which one's this? Furansujin. So we have some katakana here, and I was trying to see if there was any unusual character combinations for the katakana, because I know for fa, there's some weird combinations you can do. So I think for fu, there really is no fa, there's no fo, there's no fi, that kind of thing. So they kind of have like a lowercase of the a, I, e, o, u right next to it, just to make that kind of sound. But we don't have that funkiness here, so I can't really explain it too well. Then we got mura, which is the village. Gakusei is students. So Nakamura, Nakamura. Correct terms for correct characters for Nakamura. Okay, well, I don't think we actually covered this, but let's go for our process of elimination. So we have the sei here, sei here. This is sensei, this is gakusei. Now, mura, we kind of saw. So this is the kanji for mura. This is the kanji for mura. Now, I don't quite understand how the name kanjis work. I know sometimes they take like one or two characters, like they spell it out in hiragana and then make characters that fit the name. I think that's how it typically works. I don't know for sure. But mura, we have the kanji for mura, the village over here. Now naka. Now we've seen this naka symbol before in chugoku, it was chugoku. So apparently this kanji has two pronunciations. Chu, which means middle. Naka is also inside or center. So Nakamura, and you kind of remember this. You can kind of remember this sort of somewhat easily, because it's like there is a line in the middle of this square. So middle, naka, inside, center, that kind of thing, that kind of logic. What is this one? Daigaku. Okay. Gaku, 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 sensei, daigaku. Nakamura is like in the center of the village. Senaka is like in the rice field. So yeah, Nakamura, if I'm not mistaking it, Naka is inside or middle. One of those two. It's like along those lines. Now you may have heard of a. No, I'm not gonna go there. It gets to yabai territory when it gets to the. I was going to bring up a certain example of that, but that's getting into yabai territory, so we're not gonna do there. Yes, I do know a yabai term with naka in the middle, so we're not going there. Match the pairs. Oh my gosh, it's all in kanji and hiragana. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. So, how do we do this? Okay, let's do this first. Mura. Mura. There we go. And at this point, there's really no good way to do this. It's like whichever one you can read and try to match it from there. Furansujin. So this is Furansujin in katakana. But for katakana with a kanji for human, this end character here, and then here's Fransujin with the human portion spelled out. Fransujin, Nakamura, and then this is also Nakamura up here. So gakuse. So we have the se and we have the gakuse. And then this is Sushin. I still don't remember what Sushin is. Gakusei desu ka? Are you a student? Are you a student? Now, you don't necessarily have to read this in this case. You can. It's good practice. But I guess it's more of a listening practice. Are you a student? Gakusei desu ka? Hai. Nihongo gakusei desu. Match the pairs again. Okay, what's this one? Fransujin. Mura. So Mura. Chugokujin. So whenever you see this, Sushi in his hometown, perhaps? I was trying to figure out a way to remember that. Hometown is as good as anything. So let's go with hometown for Sushin, unless there is a native Japanese speaker that can clarify that even further. But that's as good as an approximation as any right now. Sushin can be hometown or home country. Yep. I guess in this context they're mainly referring to country. At least they haven't made an indication of referring to any city. But so far it's been referring to country so far. Gakuse. What's this one? Chugokujin. So Jin, we have the human sign. Now the human sign you may have seen once in a while, but it can be pronounced Jin or Nin, as in Ninpo or something along the lines of human. I don't know exactly how they. I don't know exactly how the pronunciation is determined, but in this case it's Jin. Ningen. There we go. I was thinking of that. Ningen, human. Imas. Oh, there's an extra kanji for ningen. I see. So nin, human. Ningen, humanity. I love humanity. Nakamura-san gakusei desu. So okay, so Nakamura is a student. Now, I don't know if they're gonna get me for not saying miss, but I don't think we really need it here. Kanji is gen here, but often ma or kan. That is confusing. But I guess that also depends on context, but that's still confusing. Now, I understand like people like kanji, the Chinese characters, because of how elegant it can be for conveying ideas. But as a writing system, I do think it's very not exactly easy to write, not easy to read a lot of times, especially if you have multiple pronunciations for the same character. It's a bit confusing. So yeah, I can't read this one. I can't read that, Amy. これは何ですか、Amy-san? これは何? Nakamura-san gakusei desu. If you actually take the san literally, you can put Mr. and Mrs. in front. But I don't think we really need it. Let's see how picky Duolingo is in this case. Now, another correct solution is says Miss Nakamura is a student, but I am very informal. So until Duolingo tells me to be super formal, I am going to live out the miss every single time in English. Because who says that? No one does. No one. I feel like son in English, while it does default to Mr. and Mrs., it's more like a formality. It's really more like a formality of respect, but we don't really have an English equivalent for that. Though if you do take off san in Japanese, it's very informal and very not probably something you would say to someone you're not used to talking. Unless you're that kind of person, which I definitely could be. Nakama, comrade, One Piece, yep. Jikan. Oh, okay. I was confused with the arrow symbol there because the arrow symbol looked like it was supposed to be Japanese. Because I see the arrow symbol looks like a iku. It kind of looks like an iku. Tanaka-san, Tanaka. Tanaka. So this is Tanaka-san. Gakusei. They're really throwing the kanji at us now. So apparently the ta here, the big square with the cross in the middle, that's ta. And then naka, we kind of went over, which could also be pronounced as chu. Naka, chu, but I think it's more commonly pronounced as naka, depending on context again. I don't know if we'll get to the kanji for ta here, but I remember one of my lessons from a very long time ago. This is actually the kanji for rice field. So Tanaka-san is literally the middle of the rice field. I forgot the ha. I forgot this thing. Tanaka-san gakusei desu. Who puts the particles in? Please, no. It's understandable. Come on, we don't need particles. We don't always need to say particles, though it does clarify a few things. But we don't need it here. We don't need it. We don't need it. Sensei desu. Okay. Nakamura is a... Well, I guess for teachers you typically say Miss or Mrs. So Miss Nakamura is a teacher. I guess... Okay. In this case, the son would be justified because I don't know how many of you guys have ever talked to your teachers back in high school or even younger than high school without the Mr. or Miss in their name. If you have that kind of relationship with your teacher, that is super unusual. At least I don't think I've ever run into it before. But Miss, Mr., Miss, Mrs. I feel like the son would be justified here because that is typically how we say, show, like, that is how we address teachers, you know. So many of your students from various countries called you just sensei or teacher. So that's why you're teacher Amy. I see. That's also valid. But I guess coming from what do you call this, Japan in general, that's probably easier for them because Miss and Mrs. that probably doesn't seem to exist as easily. Oh, South America, Europe, and Africa. Oh, that's very interesting. I would have expected people from. I would expect people from other countries to have a similar way to address teachers. You must command more respect. Miss Teacher Amy, can we be too overly formal with that? Hi, gakusei desu. Yes, I am a student. I am a student. Okay, that's my fault. I forgot the I forgot that. Yeah, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. I don't think we even say this in English very we don't say we don't even do that in English. Tanaka-san. Wait. Tanaka-san, West-san wa gakusei. What always gets me though is this ha part in the middle. Let me just show why. Let me just show why. I don't think I mentioned this before, but this part always gets me. So whenever you see something written or hear it, normally you hear wa, correct? I think. Let me put the OPs. There we go. Normally you hear wa, and in kanji, not in kanji, in hiragana, you would see it as wa. But whenever you typically see in a sentence, you see it as ha. So this is super confusing. This is super confusing for anyone reading a sentence in Japanese, because the first one, the top one is usually what you hear, and you would expect the wa character to be in the sentence, but that's not usually how it works. It's usually this bottom one, but this is what they expect. I mean, this in Japanese, that's actually what they expect you to read. Also, he becomes e as a particle. Okay, I haven't run into that one. I don't even know what that one is, how that even works. But also, oh, let me put the one more. Let me put the one more confusion here. So yeah, let me just put the one more confusion that I do know, for at least for myself, that I have to struggle with a little bit. Ha is wa. Wa is wa. The hiragana for wa, ha, hiragana for ha, but wa is written as ha, as a particle in a sentence. I guess this is what we were trying to clarify here a little while ago. I'm not, like I said, I'm not familiar with the he particle. We'll probably run into that eventually. America ikimasu. Ah, okay. So is like a particle for going to somewhere. If we'll probably run into that once we get into that section. But this has been a thorn in my side for a very long time, and I still don't get it, but I just accept it. I just accept that that's how it's supposed to be done. Hi, gakusei desu. Yes, I am a student. There we go. Yeah, let's not even go into the when do you use ga. Let's not even go to the question of when do you use ga, because that I think I instinctively know when to use it at this point, but until we actually get to that point, I'm not going to bring it up again. At least try not to bring it up again. Okay, intro. We finally got that to level 1. Let's do katakana next. So no. And no is basically just a line. So how do you remember this? It's just a line. I don't know how else to explain this, but no is just a line, and this is in katakana. If since we're not doing what do you call this, hiragana just yet, or at least for some reason we're not doing hiragana. I guess that would be more accurate. Let's just do the hiragana equivalent. This is no in hiragana, which is like a circle, but the katakana equivalent is just a line. That's just something you kind of have to get used to. But you will see a lot. You will see a lot because it's used in a lot of as a possessive in a sentence. Wa. So we went over the hiragana wa earlier. This is the wa in katakana. It's not de. I can't tell you what these look like just yet. I mean, if you type it out in the IME input, you can see it really easily. But for now, we're not going to do that. This is pretty much memorization. I don't know how else to tell you how to memorize this though. You just kind of have to accept some of these stuff as they come to you. It's like, how do you, like in English, how do you know what like in English, whenever you learn that, whenever you learn the characters in English, it's like you just kind of accept it as is. It's all memorization. All individual letters are memorization. I may have mentioned before that Korean is not entirely, well, Korean does have a certain degree of memorization as far as how to read the characters, but the characters themselves tell you how to pronounce them based on what the structure is. And once we get to the Korean lessons, like far in the future, because I want to do finish up the Japanese lessons first and then do Korean at some point, and we will learn all that together fresh. But I do know for sure the Korean pronunciation is right there on the letter, and we will definitely go over that because I feel like it's interesting. The background of that is very interesting. Wa. De. Okay, so here's something a little bit interesting as far we're getting to something a little bit interesting as far as hiragana and katakana are concerned. And this is a very easy way to figure out when to switch gears when you're reading this stuff. Now, I don't think they ever go over this, and this is more like further reading for yourself. But the base character for this sound is te, T-E. Let me just type that out. Oh wait, this isn't. Let me switch to katakana here, not hiragana. There we go. So the base for this is te. Now let us type out de really quick. Now, what is the difference between these? The difference between these is just a little line that's added to the side of the character. Now, whenever you see those, not the line, but basically it looks like an apostrophe in English. Now, whenever you see that apostrophe tacked on to the letter, it takes on a different sound. So te becomes de. If you want to think of it this way, it kind of takes on like a duller or harder sound. So typically for the te line, it goes ta, te, ti, do, and then do, da, de, do, do. So whenever you just add that, it changes the sound, and then you can kind of go back and forth a little bit easier trying to figure out what these sounds are like. Bo is also a big one. So gi and bo are like the flip sides of each one. So I think bo has the apostrophe and the gi line has the no apostrophe, that kind of thing. And then once we get to pa and ha, that's also another interesting one. But this is structurally speaking though, if you know de, you can get te, and if you know te, you should be able to get de fairly easily. So you kind of like memorize both of those at the same time. De. see, Japan. Chinese characters are great. Try to make them fit our language awkwardly. Yes. Korea. Chinese characters are great, but I, the king, think I can create something more logical from scratch. Which I feel that was very smart of that king. I heard of this story, and you know what? It's a good thing that they did it, but Korean still does not make sense in writing. Like, writing is one thing, pronouncing it is a different issue altogether. What'd you say? Wet. So here's another one. So another interesting thing when you get into the writing portion of Japanese, sometimes individual characters don't exist for a sound. So in this case, we have like a compound character here. We have the character for wa, but since there's no character for we, you have a wa and the e together. I think at a point in time that must have existed, but for some reason it does not anymore. So just kind of have to get used to this weird formatting. But we is actually a combination of these two characters. And how do you actually see the difference of this in actual writing? Because it's not really obvious here, but the e is a lowercase e, like it's actually supposed to be smaller than the wa. So let's just type that out really quick and show how that's kind of supposed to look like. So let's just do wa, we, and then wa, e. So this is what wa typically looks like, right? So this is what wa typically looks like. We, as you can see here on the screen, will look like that. And let me arrange this so that we have something to compare it to. But what does wa and e look like side by side if they were actually not like that? So it's a very, very slight difference in height when you look at this. Wa and e. Now, unlike English, where lowercase letters typically look very different from uppercase letters, that's why they were invented, so that we don't actually mix them up. Because I'm one of those people that actually writes in all caps typically, and when I write in all caps, I will make the lowercase letters as small all caps, like smaller versions of a capital letter. I do not typically write the lowercase letters whenever I write by hand. I will always, if I have to write in print, I will always use all caps for clarity typically, and that because my lowercase letters suck for the most part. Lowercase letters as all caps, that's typically how I write in print. Otherwise, I typically write in cursive. I don't know how many people these days know cursive, but I am from the era that actually know how to write cursive, so yes. But in this case, wa, we, wa and e, just know that there's going to be a height difference, and I guess there's also a slight character difference because the wa gets a thing on its top, though it can be very easy to miss. I miss it. I definitely miss it. So this is we, ne, ne. Yep, this is just memorization. So I always miss this one because for some reason I don't run into this quite a lot. But if you hear desu ne, you might see this in writing. But otherwise, ne, I don't really, neru, desu ne, neteru, I can't think of any other words that have ne in it. It's not a character I run into a whole lot, so this definitely slips my mind very easily. But we went over did, we went over no, so if it's not either of those, process of elimination says ne. Just by memorization. Which one is Norway? Well, the camera is not Norway. If you know your country, this is probably not the flag for Norway. It also reading, it's not definitely Norway, that's America. Camera. Norway, I don't know what the flag for Norway is. But process of elimination says this. Also, Norway. 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 De. De. Yeah, so the katakana and kanji part, as far as the lessons are concerned, it's mainly listening and recognition. I think the app version actually has the actual stroke order for the kanji. The website does not. I tried looking for it, and I think if I could, I'm gonna have to try the app version again to see how intrusive the ads are on that, because I want to go over a lesson on the stroke order because I don't know the stroke order, so I think that would be interesting to do. Ne, ne. So this is no, and this is te, and this is re, 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 re. No. Except no does not mean no. No means possessive. Typically means possessive. Wa. So I think they kind of try to trip you up here. So this is ra. This is re. Ooh. Oh, this is an ooh. That's interesting. Okay, so this is ooh, this is wa. But when we were doing our examples earlier, that does not mean where it's like a U and an E put together, but it's pronounced we. Oh, uwe, ah. Okay, I think I just cracked it. Ooh. He. We. Okay, that makes perfect sense now. This makes perfect sense now why it is pronounced the way it is, but it still looks, the e still looks smaller than the, so the e still looks smaller than the oo there. It actually sounds more natural, but yeah, very confusing. It's very confusing because it's not spelt that way. But it makes sense how the pronunciation is broken up if you think of it this way. Okay, well, that's interesting. Now okay, so I know typically when people do Duolingo, they just kind of go through the lessons, bum rush through them. It's like, okay, this is this, that, this is this. And if you don't have any background in the language coming in, you don't notice some of these smaller things, like like this over here. You don't notice these smaller things, which is half I think half the learning experience. When you're doing a self-study, there's no one there to tell you how these things are supposed to go, or at least some of the rationale between why this is the way it is. So yeah, if you're a beginner in any language, I think Duolingo for now, my stance on this for now. If you're a beginner in any language and you're doing Duolingo, you don't get the why, what, where, and how. You just memorize, and you know what? For the most part, that works, because a lot of times it just is memorization, especially if you're listening to someone talking back and trying to get a conversation going. It's just basically listening and learning. But once you dig down a little bit, some of these things make a little bit more sense. Like this thing, the we part. It's not a wa and e together. Together. It is an u and e. But put together like that, it becomes we. Definitely beneficial. Yes. Definitely. Wa. So this is wa. What? Ne. That's a little hard to hear, but it's ne. Okay. Correct character for no. So this is u. This is fu. Fu. This is fu. Gotta remember that one. That's fu. Ke. Ke. I don't run into K either, so this one definitely is gonna catch me every single time. But no, if you just remember no is good. Definitely remember the no. K I don't remember running into so much, so I'm definitely gonna miss that every so often. So this is a no. And de is this the te with the quote. We. This is this one, the u and the I. We, kind of like a French we, almost a French we. Ne, this is ne. You just kind of have to memorize that, and then wa. There we go. Correct character for u. Now, if you were not paying attention before this, you would probably say, which one is u? Definitely not this one. This is we. This is we, and you have run into that one. But this is wa. And I guess normally we just click through this and figure out which one's what. But definitely helps to figure out what you already know and what you don't. But this is we, and this is we, wa, and then this is u. Yeah, I think I'm not sure how they can do the katakana and hiragana stuff better. That's as good, I think, as you can get regarding that. At least they did. I feel like they did their best trying to convey that. Anyway, we're gonna do one more lesson today. So we're gonna do intro number 2. I've not tapped into this yet, but I'm only gonna do one. I'm only gonna do like one round of this. And I'll try to see how far I can push within the next week, because I'm going to try to do this weekly if I can. So, last one for today. Hanasemasu. Hanasemasu. Did you just ask me to shut up? Well, the damarimasu is also shut up. I think that one is more rude, though. But hanasemasu. I do think you asked me to shut up, but it's not da. Who would? That's not da. Nihongo. This is Nihongo. This is hanasemasu. Damare is definitely rude. That definitely is rude. Nihongo. So Japan is the land of the rising sun. So Nihon, which will be sun, and I don't know what this is. Book? I think this is book. I'm honestly not sure if this is the kanji for book, but you'll always see sun with Japan. So there's the kanji for sun. Nihon go. And for go, now if you know your Japanese numbers, go is 5. And there definitely is a 5 here. The go in 5 is definitely here. But all this other stuff is like, what is this? What is this? What is this thing? I do not understand. I do not understand go as far as kanji for language. I do not understand this. Because we have a go as in 5. We have a big ro in there underneath the 5, and then I have no idea what this thing on the side is. So it's like, that is a mystery to me. But Nihongo, that's what it is. Kanji is a book. Okay, I was wondering about that. So Nihongo is rising sun. Well, it says book sun. Okay, I don't know how they put that together. Nihongo. Nihongo. Ochato, that's in English. Definitely not correct. What's this one? Hanasemasu. Okay, they told me to shut up. Okay. Which one of this is Japanese? So Norway is not Japanese, at least I don't think it is. The student is definitely not Japanese, at least I don't think it is. And then we have Nihongo. Though I guess in English this would be ambiguous. So whenever you say Japanese, you need more context with that in English. Like, are you Japanese? Do you speak Japanese? So yeah, definitely. But as far as the kanji is concerned, you're talking about the Japanese language. But in English, we need a little bit more than that because it is ambiguous. Are you talking about the Japanese person, or are you talking about the Japanese language, or are you talking about Japanese as an adjective to food, culture, or whatnot? So yeah, a little bit of ambiguity in English, but not so much in Japanese in this context. 日本語が話せます。ちょっと何？日本語が話せますか？ Do I speak Japanese? 日本語が話せますか？ Can I speak Japanese? Can you speak Japanese? Not how I would ask it, but definitely valid. 日本語が So specifically we're asking about the Japanese language. 話せますか? Hanase maska in this case would be, can you speak? Can you speak it? Can you speak the Japanese language? Do you speak Japanese? Is there a difference between do and can in Japanese, or is it roughly the same thing? I'm just wondering if there's like a minute difference as far as what is this called? Nuance. Is there a nuance to can and do in Japanese? I've always wondered that. I don't think I've actually bothered to look it up. But in this case, can you speak Japanese? Do you speak Japanese? That's definitely what do you call this? Perfectly valid in this case. Hanasemasu. So this is Jujin. Sushin. I speak it habitually. I can speak. Let's see. Hanashimasu. I speak it. Hanashimasu. Hanasemasu. I can speak it. So the shi and se. Speak it habitually. That's a little bit confusing, though. I guess the question would be, hanasemasu ka? Nihongo wa hanasemasu ka? Can you speak Japanese? And then I guess I would say hanasemasu. And I think I tried to actually say this one time in one of my trips. So actually I tried speaking more Japanese in one of my trips. It was in an onsen somewhere. Let me see if I can find pictures of that. I may have just taken pictures of the onsen place itself, but not the shop. So if I don't find it, I just don't find it. Let me see also if I can remember when that was. Got the days mixed up here. But yeah, anyway, I think on my last trip to Japan, I believe it was my last trip, I went to this place called Nyuto Onsen in the Tohoku area. Now, Nyuto is kind of ecchi. I think it literally means booby onsen, as in boobies, pretty much. But the reason why it's called that, because I think there's a bunch of rock formations, I think, where it does actually look like breasts, and Japanese are kind of raunchy sometimes, like everyone else, so they called it Nyuto Onsen. And there's this one place in Nyuto Onsen I went to called Kuroko Onsen. Other body parts. Where Kuroyu onsen. Black water, black hot spring. Kuroyu onsen, I think I think it's the name of the place. Let me see if I can find it though. I feel like I may not have taken a picture of the reception. I have taken pictures of the actual onsen area when nobody else was there. But I'm trying to find a picture of the reception because this is where the conversation took place. And it's quite a nice place actually. Highly recommended. Though there are plenty of other onsens in the Nyuto onsen area, but this is the one that we went to, and I don't think I have a picture of the reception, so I can't exactly show that. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do. No, wait, this is the town. This is the town. Well, I only have one picture I can probably show because it's not very... I guess I didn't get a picture of the reception when I was talking to the lady, so... Let me actually just put that graphic up really quick. So just one picture this time. Oh, not this one. May have to... There we go. Reset that. So this is some place in Nyuto Onsen. Well, not Nyuto Onsen, Kuruyu Onsen. And not exactly the reception area, but the reception area, I think the lady... I was trying to speak more Japanese, and the lady at the counter was asking me, do I speak Japanese? So I tried speaking in Japanese, saying hanimasu, or something to that effect. And what we have here is hanasemasu. Hanasemasu, according to teacher Amy in this case, is let's see, let me scroll back. Hanasemasu. I can speak Japanese. I tried saying that, and my pronunciation might have been really, really off at the time because I was kind of nervous and trying to say it correctly. So, but thankfully, there was another person next to the lady who knew English and kind of sort of heard me, because I don't think she got the message when I was actually talking that that I said hanasemasu or hanase desu. I think I said hanase desu, but she didn't quite get it, and the guy was like, that's what I was trying to say, basically. So that's my little hanase story. We're not gonna quite go into the onsen part. We're gonna get there when we get there. But let me catch up on the Japanese notes. So maybe when you're with your Japanese friends, you use English or Japanese. We speak Japanese. Hanashimasu. In that case, we can assume you can speak it, but do you use that or English? Good question. I have to think about that. And then bro here is saying konnichiwa. Chotto mate kudasai. Let me get this. I can't read some of this stuff. I can't parse it in my head right now. Konnichiwa, kyodai o genki desu ka? How are you? Hello brothers, how are you? Genki desu. Oh, definitely. Yeah, boobies. Yeah, boobies. More boobies. Traditional roof. I tried. What I really want to do next time I go to Japan is like just try to speak as much Japanese as possible, just so I can actually practice. But it definitely doesn't hurt to practice before you get there, though it's harder to stick unless you're in that environment. You know, that's why I say probably the best way to learn it is to set yourself in an environment where you're forced to learn it. So yeah. Well, I was reading what bro up here was writing, and he said kyodai specifically, not oni-chan. I thought Oni-chan was what I was reading, but I had to clarify that. Hanasemasu. Not sha. This is Nihongo, Sujin, Sushin, Hanasemasu. Select the correct characters for Hanasemasu. So this is ma. I don't think we went over this in our katakana lesson, but this is ma, this is ru, this is Nihongo, and Hanasemasu. I'm not quite sure what the kanji for hana is in this case. Is this the kanji for nose? Because I know hana can mean nose or flower, but I don't think there's a kanji for flower. This might be a kanji for nose, but I don't know if that makes sense in this context. But this is hanasemasu, and you just kind of remember Nihongo, ru, ma desu, rumashi desu, hanasemasu. Match the pairs. Oh my gosh. Okay. De, ko, the backwards C, ko. Ru, as in ruru. If you know your panty and stocking, you probably heard this a lot. Ruru. And then Nihongo. This is Nihongo. Hanasemasu. Let's see. Characters for Nihongo. Okay, we're doing Nihongo again. So let's just review the stuff we're not going to pick. This is ne. This is, we haven't gone over that yet. But this is hanasemasu over here. Repetition is good. This is, I want to say this is mochi. Let me check though. It's mochi. I could read the chi, but I wasn't quite sure about the mo over here. I keep thinking that's a mu. I keep getting mo and mu mixed up, but mochi. Yeah, I think the reason why I get this mixed up with mu is because it looks like a U, and I know this is part of the ma family in hiragana, but this looks like a mu, but it's actually mo. I guess I need to close that circle off a bit and not think of it as a U. But this is Nihongo. Up here is Nihongo. Matching pairs, me, which looks like a scar. It's me scar. It's my scar. I guess that's one way to remember it. Me. But it means nothing. It's just me. Da, which is this. The ta, da. Be. We haven't gotten over this yet, but be is this he with the apostrophe on top. Not apostrophe. It's technically quotes. It's technically some kind of radical. I don't know what you would call that in Japanese. But it's be. This is be. But it is a he with a with the quote marks on top. Dakuten. Call them dakuten. Okay. We'll try to call them dakuten from now on. Dakuten would be the like the quote looking things on top. Dakuten. Be. Nihongo. Hanasemasu. I need to figure out what that kanji actually is, because I think it's nose. Hi, Nihongo ga hanasemasu. Let's see. Yes, Hi, Nihongo ga hanashimasu. Yes. So, I'm not sure how picky this is going to be, but it's probably going to be something like, yes, I can speak Japanese, or yes, I speak Japanese. Let me see if it'll take I speak Japanese. I just want to see if it takes that, because I don't know if can here is going to be required. Oh, okay, it took it. It took that one. So I guess can be implied in this sense, in English, but yes, I speak Japanese. Yes, I can speak Japanese. Hai, Nihongo ga hanasemasu. And this is just recognition. So this is Nihongo ga hanase. Oh, they broke it up. Hanasemasu. Hanasemasu. Which one? What is this one? This is Canada. This is Canada. This is Canada. Okay. It took me a little while to figure out the not there because I don't see that too much either. Even whenever I hear naka, it's typically the kanji, but not this thing. It's not this thing. Okay. Okay, I think that's it for today. Katakana is hard to learn because they're more rare, I bet. But I don't know why they have us go through katakana in this case then. Because I feel like they should have you do hiragana. But the hiragana is kind of mixed in. And it seems like the further you get down here, the more obscure subjects come up. Which I think it makes it okay as far as learning is concerned, but definitely got to get through all these greetings first before we can get to the really interesting stuff. Which, once we get there, I feel like the difficulty is going to ramp up just because vocabulary-wise, it's not something we run into very often. So, my homework for the next week is to try to get through all this other stuff in like finish up all this other stuff by the checkpoint. So that's my homework for the next week. So let's see how far I can actually get there because it takes forever to do one of these, like 4 to 5 lessons. 4 to 5 typically. And then we'll be doing a review hopefully next Wednesday. But once we get past that, I think we're gonna get into more relevant stuff that we actually want to know about, like restaurant, activities, vacationing. This is more of that stuff you would want to know as a visitor to Japan. Let's see. Age of 16. Oh yeah, after we do restaurants, we should do ropei, definitely. We can either do that as a separate lesson, or I can have you hop on here as a guest while we do this, for sure. Sure. Let's see. Now, I'm not sure how serious this sentence is, bro, but I would suggest not to do that at the age of 16 because Japan, while it is affordable in most cases, it does have the reputation of being fairly expensive living conditions. It's also very difficult to get a job there without having some sort of education, either high school or college. So I would advise against that and get an education first before you do that. But that's just my 2 cents. That's all I'm saying about that. Highly advised to do it at the age of 16 though. If you really want to do this, maybe wait until after high school and then try something, but I don't recommend it. Highly do not recommend it. Yeah, even if you want to work as a convenience store clerk, like working in the konbini, you would still need at least a bachelor's degree. Why? Because you are a foreigner. Now, if you were Japanese, then I think high school is good enough. But as a foreigner, they have higher expectations of you, or at least give you a higher barrier. Not necessarily expectations, they give you a higher barrier of entry. So definitely, highly discourage the first option. If that's actually the case. If it's not, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Unless you can afford the Gun University, but then you will need ice. Yeah. I actually tried to apply to Tokyo University one time when I was applying for college stuff, just at the off chance. Now, at the time I graduated from high school, or was about to graduate from high school, I was super into this manga called Negima. Actually not Negima. It was not Negima. I was thinking Love Hina. That's it. I was super into this manga called Love Hina, and in Love Hina they make a huge deal about Tokyo University, Todai. So that was my only experience with names of Japanese universities, and actually it was a option to send like SAT scores, ACT scores to Tokyo University for that. So I did. I tried. Never heard back from anything from them. I guess they wanted me to be like top, like valedictorian in my class to be able to qualify, but never did that. Never did a what do you call this? I never did a culture exchange thing during school. I don't think that was ever an option for me at the time. I would have taken it if we could, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe not Japan right away, but if your intent is to do something like that, there are other options. But it is a rough road, so just saying. Anyway, I'm gonna end it right there. We ended right about 2 hours. I was hoping it would take roughly no more than 2 hours whenever I did this. Of course, there was some what do you call this? Tangents here or there. Hopefully they were enjoyable enough, and we'll pick this up again next week. I'll see how far I get. Let me see if I can get my homework done in time. That's a lot of homework actually, but yeah, I'll see you guys for next Duolingo next week. As far as next programming is concerned, I was going to do a kintsugi repair tomorrow, like repairing my broken rice bowl with a kintsugi set, the gold thing, but I may not do it depending on how I feel about it tomorrow, because I'm kind of behind on some things I need to do. So there might be an art stream tomorrow. Just saying, there might be an art stream tomorrow. So I'll let you guys know about that. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a nice rest of your day. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I gotta do this YouTube thing. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next stream. Other than that, see you later. Goodbye. Wow.